A candy-colored clown they call the Sandman tiptoes to my room every night just to sprinkle stardust and to whisper, go to sleep, everything is all right. Om Nagasti Shaina. Cabinet maker. Actor. Polyperson. Son. Musician. So, right, Endymion there's not a lot to his story, really. I mean, no one's entirely sure exactly who he is. I mean, he might be Zeus's son, he might be. James Hillman stated that multiple personality is humanity in its natural condition, and that a single identity is a delusion of the monotheistic mind. Cyclist, divorcee, goth. But the most important stories are actually the most boring because all he does is sleep. Right? Sweet dreams are made of this, who am I to disagree? Travel the world in the 7 seas, everybody's looking for something. Now, the main story is that he chooses to sleep, or possibly that Selene herself actually asks Zeus to make him sleep, and that's the story we're going with, really. So Endymion's this shepherd, and it's all hot and sweaty and everything outside, so he goes into a cave and he goes to sleep, right? Do we know who we are in sleep? Which is lovely, because, you know, it's nice to sleep, isn't it? Right, and then he sleeps till it's dark, and the moon, Selene, the moon up there, right, sees him, right, and she looks down, and she looks down, and she goes, oh, I'm having some of that. Some of them want to use you. And according to Robert Graves, she lies beside him. Yeah, if beside is on top. How do you identify? Yeah, that's the thing. There can be so many. Trainee, pagan, mature student, uncle. She falls in love with him, and Endymion is beautiful, right? He's beautiful. He's a beautiful man. She falls absolutely in love with him, so she goes to Zeus, and she said, why she can't use goddess charms, I don't know. Never mind. She goes to Zeus and she asks that Endymion be asleep all the time. Endymion stay asleep, right? So Zeus grants this request, and Selene visits Endymion daily to lie beside him, not to rape him. Oh no, because it's not apparently rape in a myth. Apparently it's not rape in a myth. It's perfectly okay to bounce up and down on someone's willy when they don't even know you're there, and you might be dreaming. The upshot of it all is, well, there's two upshots really. One is that Endymion stays asleep and stays young and beautiful forever. He never changes, right? And the other one is that Selene has 50 daughters by him, which is pretty excessive by most people's standards, right? So that's like one a year, you know. That's quite a lot. That's quite a lot of bouncing up and down. It's amazing he doesn't have bed sores or something. But anyway, that's the story of Endymion. He sleeps. What he dreams about, I have no idea. poor Endymion. A voice from high above you leans in and seems to whisper, I love you. There's someone there that you cannot see. It says, dream a little dream of me. There's a breath upon your ear now. Your heart is racing with fear now. And the voice that you cannot see sings, dream a little dream of me. The dream's changing, but it lingers on, dear. Sleep's craving your cock. In your dream, you're naked and cold, dear, and the earth starts to rock. So, right, Sleeping Beauty, this is actually quite a really old story. I mean, it goes right back. I've taken some notes, they're over here. Right. Pagan, mature student, uncle, model, British. It goes right back to about the 14th century, but that's the literary written version, which means there must be older ones, and some people have attached it to Brunhilde in the Norse and things like that, but no one's entirely sure exactly where it came from. The thing is with Sleeping Beauty is that's what she is. She's a beauty and she sleeps. Right? There are stories, I mean, the Disney one is all very cleaned up and nice and lovely, but it's basically the same as the one from the Brothers Grimm. And the Brothers Grimm took it from, who did they take it? One moment, from someone called Perrault, and about the 16th century, something like that. Right. Labourer, brother, queer, bisexual. Anyway, the main story basically says that there's a king and a queen and they have a lovely daughter, and they invite all the people to the christening except one bad fairy. She's not a very nice fairy, and she says that the child will prick their finger. The Disney version says a spindle. Older versions say a piece of flax, right? Which actually makes more sense. A little bit of flax stuck in a finger forever, right? And she will die. And a good fairy comes along and says, well, I can't get rid of the curse, but I can make it nice and she'll sleep for 100 years or something like that, right? Sweet dreams are made of it, who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the 7 seas, everybody's looking for something. Now, the Disney version has a waking up with a kiss, right? But no, that's not what happens in the older stories. They've cleaned it up so much. Right? What happens in the older stories is that she falls asleep and a king or a prince or someone finds her sort of zonked out in front of the spinning wheel, like that, and he picks her up and very gentlemanly puts her in the bed. And then not very gentlemanly strips her off and strips him off and rapes her in her sleep. Right? Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused. Right? Yeah, it's fairy tales. They're murdery and rapey and absolutely horrible. Right. Ooh, Sleeping Beauty. You can feel your body float now, like a feather sailing up high now, and settling on a wave of the sea. You hear, dream a little dream of me. A beast is forcing its head now, between your thighs, and you want to be dead now. But the nightmare is still running free. He says, dream a little dream of me. The dream's changing, but it lingers on, dear. The king's done with your cunt. And in time, you'll swell and get fat, dear, and dream of a birth you don't want. Anyway, so what happens is he's raped her and she's now conceives twins and gives birth to these twins without waking up, which is that's pretty impressive, really. Right? Gas and air, fantastic. Right, so she has these twins, and eventually one of them tries to suckle on her finger and sucks out the bit of flax and wakes her up, right? And then the king turns up and finds that she's there with two kids and goes, oh crap, I was just wanting another shag. Right, I think you better take you home. And the king's wife, the queen, is not too pleased. And then it goes off into different stories. Thing with Sleeping Beauty, right? She has no identity. And if not ourselves, then who are we in dreams? She has no name. She doesn't have her own name. Some people call her Talia. Some people call her Aurora. Some people call her Rosamond. Some people call her Little Briar Rose. But she's treated completely like she has no identity of her own. She's an object to be used to push the story on. It's kind of hard to say exactly who I am. And the poor girl she starts off with some virginity, falls asleep for 100 years or however long it is, and wakes up a mother with two kids. Irving Goffman considered humanity to be made up of actors whose social interactions could be considered performances for each other. In our multiple roles, this makes us the world's greatest improvisers. Leaflet deliverer. Nephew. Vegan. Bugger. Are you aware, perhaps, of the story of Orlando? I read it once, years ago. Tim, darling, would you be so kind as to enlighten us? You sure about that? Yes, I am sure. Well, it's not a myth. It's not a myth. It's not a myth. Yes, dear, I am aware of that. Okay. Are you going to wake up now? Be reborn, transformed, a brand new you now? Or will you stay forever asleep, dreaming little dreams of me? So, Orlando, right? Okay, so it's not actually a myth, right? It's a story by Virginia Woolf, and it's kind of an allegory, really, about her girlfriend, Vita Sackville West. It was written in the 1920s, and, you couldn't really be a lesbian in the 1920s and get away with it. Neurodivergent. Gender non-conforming. Husband. Hippie. clown. Anyway, what happens is, right, you've got this young nobleman in the court of Queen Elizabeth I. He's very pretty, he's very lovely, he's very nice. And, well, he doesn't actually put this in the book, but it is in the film, the one with Tilda Swinton and Quentin Crisp as Queen Elizabeth, which is utterly brilliant, right? Okay, so Orlando is forbidden from aging. He's not allowed to fade, he's not allowed to get old. So eventually, he basically just ages really super slowly. He might be immortal. Right? But he's a he for now. And then there's a point where he goes to sleep, and he goes to sleep for a week, right? Oh, Majesty, Shaina. He can't be woken up. It's in the middle of Istanbul, Constantinople, as it was called then, right? There's a big war going on all around him and everything. And then he goes to sleep under all this stress and wakes up, and he's a she. Yeah. Now, there's all these different identifiers that I can be, you know, dad, man. Could you, for example, be me? Yeah, maybe I could. Yeah. Anyway, he wakes up, he's a she, but while he's completely transformed, he's also not completely transformed at all, because he is also she. They're both Orlando. What then is asleep? If not the transformation from state to state. Yeah, there is no difference between the two before sleep and after sleep. They're both Orlando. It's just that one was a boy and the other one's now a girl. That's literally it, right? And at the very end, the really important bit comes at the very end, in which is when Orlando has actually reached the 1920s and been married and all sorts of things. Father, artist, ADHD child. And she looks back at all her previous selves, all those that she used to be, and looks for her captain self, her key self, her real self, and realizes that actually they're all her. And it's the assimilation of all those multiple selves, multiple Orlandos, that makes her the Orlando she is. Hold your head up, move down. Keep your head up, move down. Hold your head up, move down. Keep your head up, move down. Hold your head up, move down. Keep your head up, move down.